And if I had to be another person to stand up, if I think, after really going through this, and looking at the files and looking at the case, if I really feel that Karen Reed didn't do this and I have to be a voice that stands up and helps, I will.
We are expected to learn more about the allegations against the girlfriend of a Boston police officer who was found unresponsive in the snow Saturday morning. I-Team sources say Karen Reed was in a relationship with John O'Keefe. She's facing charges including motor vehicle homicide and manslaughter.
We're the only ones fighting for the truth of what happened to John O'Keefe. And me and my family and my attorneys and my team have marshaled every resource to get to the truth. It just feels like no one else wants it.
Just to be clear, you didn't do it.
We know who did it, Steve. We know. And we know who spearheaded this cover-up. You all know.
Yes, we do.
And no, she didn't do it. No, she didn't do it. This is an innocent woman. She didn't do it.
I tried to save his life.
Yeah.
I tried to save his life at 6 in the morning. I was covered in his blood. I was the only one trying to save his life.
Why'd you admit to it?
She didn't admit to it. She didn't admit to anything close to that. Nothing close to that. And you should know that.
That was like 3 or 4 times she admitted to it.
No, she didn't.
That's not true.
She asked a question. She asked a question, which is very different. She didn't admit to anything.
I'm going to tell you one thing. Karen Reed's not going to fold. Karen Reed's not going to give up. Defense team's not going to quit. The Free Karen Reed movement is going to continue. We will continue to raise funds for her. We will continue to do standouts across Massachusetts, across the nation, across the world to let everybody know what's going on here in the state of Massachusetts, the corruption. And we will continue to get the word out there. Believe me. Believe me.
Bang, bang! Free Turtle Boy! 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 Free Turtle Boy! Bang, bang! Free Turtle Boy!
Where did it happen? Did it happen in front of your kids at the bus stop?
They were actually waiting while my kids got on the bus, so they made sure my kids saw it happen. That's how depraved these individuals are. And I hope you all realize that now. I'm here right now because I'm exposing corruption. I'm exposing what really happened to John O'Keefe and the powerful and well-connected people who murdered him and cover up his murder. And this is what the state does to you when you do that. But several months from now, it will not be me standing on these courthouse steps. It will be the so-called victims. That's who will be here. Because ultimately justice will prevail and truth will prevail, and they will never shut me up. They will never, ever, ever stop me from reporting the truth about what happened to John O'Keefe.
Have you made $5 million off of this?
What an absurd and ridiculous. I wish. No, I have not made $5 million off of this.
How much have you made?
I have no idea. How much you make?
No,
How much you make? How much you make? I'm a reporter too. How much you make? Yeah, I don't know.
But I wasn't arrested for it today.
What's up?
You were the one who were arrested.
I was arrested for making money?
No.
No, you don't know what you're talking about. Next. Anyone else? Anyone else have any real quick? Who's this joker? Who is this clown? Who's this
Are you
idiot?
making money off of this?
Are you making money off of this? You're here right now, right?
Yeah,
You're making money off. Oh, he works for Greg Henning's station. He works for WCVB. He works
Aiden,
for
what does this mean for the reporting going forward? How do you understand the reporting going forward? Like what the restriction is? What does this mean? Does this mean you
Well, I gotta.
report on the case?
Believe me, I am looking for an aggressive criminal defense lawyer to navigate because now we know that they're going to try to lock me up for telling the truth and exposing corruption. That's what they're going to try to do. So I am going to get an aggressive criminal defense lawyer. And if anybody's watching right now, I don't know who I'm going to pick yet, but we are going to mount a loud, vociferous defense.
Was that a public appointed lawyer that you hadn't had today, or was
Yes, that was the duty status lawyer, the guy that's in the courthouse. So
what the special prosecutor said.
You don't need to beg him when you've got an army behind
You're
him.
not
willing
just
to give it to
reporting
him
the
for the
news, harassment. What do you
Ye-
say to that?
reporting the news is not harassment. Asking questions is not harassment. You guys all heard. You all heard what they read out loud today. And by the way, I was arrested by that guy right there, Lieutenant Brian Tully. One of the people I've been exposing. The man who signed all of those fraudulent police reports that we've now exposed for being lies. He had the audacity to come to my house and put me in handcuffs today. I'm not scared of him, and I will not be silenced, and I will be steadfast in keeping on with this mission to expose the real killers of John O'Keefe.
Do they serve a search warrant in your house too?
Yes,
Okay, I'm just wondering.
Do you know what they grabbed from your house? Did they pull anything out?
I have no idea. So
Are you going to do anything differently as far as your job?
everything that you heard in that courtroom today is legal, protected opinion. I would like to point out that 2 weeks ago in this very same courthouse, one of the alleged victims in this matter attempted to get an order in here using those same exact arguments and those same exact quotes. The judge denied it. The judge denied that order in this same exact courthouse 2 weeks ago. So what has changed? What facts of his case have changed? Absolutely nothing. This is a gross exercise of state power. This is what fascism looks like. And as journalists, we should all be concerned that this is what they do. They also told me that every single person who came to the peaceful protest rolling rally in Canton on July 22nd, one of the things that has led to these charges, every single person in there is now under investigation. Hundreds of innocent people are under investigation, and they cannot arrest us all. Maybe they can.
Going in today, you mentioned something about a Ford SUV.
Yeah, so a Ford Edge. According to Lucky Loughran, the man who plowed 34 Fairview Road that day, at 2:30 a.m., he drove by Brian Albert's house, and there was no body on the front lawn. He said he would have seen a body had it been there. We know this because he was interviewed by Trooper Yuri Buchanek and one of the alleged quote-unquote victims in this case. According to Mr. Loughran, 30 minutes later at 3 a.m., he noticed that a Ford Edge was parked outside directly where John O'Keefe's body would later be found. 2 months later, here we are. Nothing has been done to find out who was driving the Ford Edge that was parked next to where a dead Boston police officer was found. Nothing. And this is what they're wasting their time with. Me. There is a man who murdered a Boston cop out there, and they're doing nothing about it. And they're coming after the only journalist who's actually reporting what happened. And I will not be intimidated. I will not be silenced. And we will continue on our journey for justice for John O'Keefe and for Karen Reed. Period.
Gosh, it is such an inspiring speech. I literally get teared up every time that I hear that ending, that ending that we will continue. We will not stop fighting until we get justice for Karen Reed and Officer John O'Keefe. It does. It chokes me up every single time. I mean, we're so emotionally attached to this case, and we are just a few days from starting Karen Reed 2.0. Good morning, everybody. Happy Easter. Welcome into this Easter edition of the Sunday Super Show. I am solo today as my co-host is out on the West Coast enjoying the sun and fun. I feel like, I don't know, I feel a little lonely today here in the studio. But Lauren, I hope you're having a great time out in California. Enjoy your time out there, and I look forward to teaming back up with you again soon. So hope everybody is doing well. We got a lot to go through here today. Maybe get to some live calls. We'll just see how the show rolls and see if people want to conversate and talk about this. I mean, I can't believe, Tuesday we're going to kick off Karen Reed 2.0. I know everybody's been anticipating it. It was funny. DUI guy put a tweet out the other day and said, is everybody anticipating the opening statements? I think we are, but I just feel like we shouldn't be here, right? We shouldn't be here. This should have all been wrapped up in Karen Reed 1.0. And, here we are. We have to do it all over again. But I feel like the defense and Karen's team, Karen herself, is going to be much more prepared this time around. Someone said on my channel the other day, and I think it was Brother Counsel had him on the other day with my good friend Todd McGee. And he said, the thing that you have to take into account here is, all of the discovery that has happened in and around this case. And, maybe the defense team didn't use certain discovery in 1.0, and we may see a lot of that discovery come out in 2.0 if it feels like it benefits and it exonerates Karen Reed of all these bullshit, frivolous charges. But anyway, very nice to see a lot of people here. I know it's Easter Sunday. Make sure to smash the like button when you come in. And I want to read something here, something that I kind of penned up the other day. As of yesterday was our 250 year here in the great state of Massachusetts. Well, I don't feel great lately, but in the state of Massachusetts, we had the 250 year anniversary of Lexington and Concord. And, that really was the start, besides the Boston Tea Party, the element here, the people that wanted to fight back against tyranny. And we have that opportunity to start that process all over again here on Tuesday. It was funny. I had a troll come at me this morning and said, "Oh, you're now comparing the Karen Reed case to, the Battle of Lexington and Concord." And I think that troll is missing the bigger point here. The point is to continue to fight back against tyranny. And that's what happened here 250 years ago. We didn't want to be ruled by taxes. We didn't want to be ruled by the government, the British government rule. We wanted independence. We wanted to be on our own. We wanted to be free. And that is the greater point in all of this. And I think the trolls tend to miss those points when we bring them up. But I want to read what I penned for everybody. And I think it's just so fitting to what we're getting ready to go through all over again. So on the morning of April 19th, 1775, on a quiet green in Lexington, Massachusetts, destiny stirred. British soldiers armed with authority met a modest band of colonial militiamen led by Captain John Parker. Tensions crackled in the dawn air, and then came the shot that was heard around the world. The redcoats opened fire. 8 patriots fell, 10 more were wounded, yet the blood-soaked soil rose, the first breath of the revolution, a defiant stand against tyranny, the spark that would kindle a nation's freedom. Now, 250 years later, we find ourselves at another crossroads here in Massachusetts, a different battlefield, a different kind of weapon, but the same bitter enemy of unjust cloak and power. Karen Reed faces the weight of a system that seeks to bury her beneath lies she did not author, for a crime that she did not commit. This, too, is tyranny, brazen, shameless, and wrong. On Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025, we remember the courage of those who came before us. Let the spirit of Captain John Parker and his fellow patriots inspire us to stand with quiet strength and purpose. Their legacy lives not only in history books, but in the choices we make and the principles we uphold. As the sun rises on that day, may it shine on Karen Reed and the community united by determination. As the flame of justice and freedom still burns, it simply asks that we keep it alive and with courage and resolve. And I truly mean that. We have an opportunity, and I'm going to tell you, the Karen Reed case is going to change our nation. It's given the opportunity for people to look into corrupt law enforcement, corrupt government officials, corrupt people in their towns, in their cities. It's given us our opportunity to peel back those layers. And the government and people that align with the government, they don't want that. It tends to bother them. But this is going to change. This is going to change a lot in our country. This will be written about. It will be talked about. It'll be in law reviews. It'll be quoted in cases. So the biggest thing that we have to remember to keep doing here is to support Karen. Support this movement. Be one, be together. Now is not the time to divide. We must remain strong. And I want to talk about going down to the actual courthouse during the trial. We know that we have a buffer zone. It's 200 feet now. Last year, it was last trial was 100 feet. And we will have people that will come into that buffer zone to distract us, to deter us, to try to start essential bullshit with us down there. Don't give any of these people your time or day. Turn your back, because they're distractors. They're people that are looking for a reaction. I want to talk about one of these individuals right now. I'm going to share my screen. So we have a distractor, and he goes by the tag of JLR Investigates, and I'm sure that you have all heard about him before. I cannot comment on his post because I got the red badge of courage. So I am currently blocked from his Twitter account. And I'll be honest with you. I mean, this is someone that I had watched in the past, someone that was creating content on a subject that I was paying attention to and I was following, and basically was really the birth of my channel, the Idaho 4 case. And I don't say I had a lot of respect, but I got it. I understand what he was doing. And then after some research and finding out who this actual person is, he is someone that's an agitator, someone that is down here to cause problems. But the other day, he put this tweet out. Said, I'm booked for Boston next week. Lots of places to go and people to see. Might stick around for a while. Check out the live coverage and videos on JLR Investigates. You see Aiden here. I can't wait to see you, your bitch ass again, prison boy. And there is. It's someone that's spent multiple years in prison for the things that, he has done. I just want to let everybody know, don't give this guy your time. He's someone that's going to come down here and try to agitate people that are out there doing something positive. And I want to show everybody last year, what he did. He's fucking unhinged. And I remember standing there when I got to the courthouse that morning, and he literally is pacing like a caged tiger, waiting for Karen to arrive, to agitate the positive things that are going on down there. So let him do what he's going to do, because I'm going to tell you right now, this moron is going to make a mistake, and he's going to end up most likely being arrested. And if he realizes the buffer zone and wants to kind of be in the area of the buffer zone with the Free Karen Reed ground crew, don't give this guy any time. This is what he wants. He wants to create content off of your reactions. The best thing to do is just turn your back. Don't pay any attention to him. But I'm going to pull up here what he did last time in Karen Reed 1.0. I was actually down there that day and captured this video.
Hey, Karen, you have to spend the rest of your life in prison, Karen? How does it feel to be known as a cop killer, Karen? How does it feel to be known as a cop killer? You're going to prison, aren't you? Right?
Morning.
Do you have any remorse, Karen, for what you did to the O'Keefe family? Do you have any remorse, Karen, for what you did to the O'Keefe family? Huh? Will you denounce your supporters harassing the O'Keefe family? Will you denounce your reporters harassing the O'Keefe family, Karen? Shame on you, Karen. That's what people say. Karen, anything to say, Karen? You're going to spend the rest of your life in prison. Don't touch me. cop killer, Karen? How does it feel to be a cop killer? You're going to prison, Karen, aren't you? How does it feel to be a cop killer, Karen? How does it feel to be a cop killer, Karen? Shame on you for what you did to that Keith family.
She wouldn't know.
Shame on you, Karen.
Sure, the boy gets arrested. But
Have a great day, sir. God bless you guys. Karen Reed is guilty, right?
yes, huh?
Think so?
Yeah, you need help.
You need help.
All right, folks.
You need help.
Folks, let's go back. Let's go back. Right. Outside the buffer zone, please. Let's go. Come on, let's go.
Now, this is someone that creates content to just create content. He really doesn't care about talking about a story, investigating a story. He's looking for that viral video. If I can go out there and get this reaction and post it up, and if I get 1 million views on it, that's all he cares about. He doesn't actually care about doing real journalism. I just saw someone in the chat here that said, he's a storm chaser. It's exactly what he is. It's exactly what he's turned into. And like I said, I mean, I used to watch him quite a few years ago, his Idaho content, when he was actually digging into stories and doing things like that. I found it actually pretty interesting. And then somewhere his content turned and he's looking for that viral, that 1 million hit video. I don't watch him anymore. He's an idiot. He's a moron. That pretty much solidified it for me. And then after doing some real research on this guy and figuring out who he is, obviously you can tell from his background. But we'll finish out the video here.
No, not really. Just like Sandra committed suicide. Sounds like Sandra committed suicide when you say shit like that.
Have a great day, man.
No, I
Take
know.
care.
Justice for Sandra Birchmore.
Have a great day.
I love you holding up those signs.
Rosie. That's Mom Nancy.
Your sunshine.
He's down there to videotape agitation. Like I said, don't give this guy anything. He's going to show up. Going to try to pull this shit again. Just ignore him if you're down there.
Good morning. How are you? Good morning.
They're going to be coming out of the woodwork. Expect more.
He knows that what we're trying to do is hear people. They see the crowd.
And then you can see, how respectful the Free Karen Reed supporters were down there during this entire time. They didn't cause any of this commotion. They didn't cause any problem outside of the courthouse. And you're going to get these creators or viral, people that are chasing that viral video. They're going to come in and try to do things like this. Don't entertain them. They're losers. Don't entertain them. Don't give this guy any content. Turn your back on him.
Watch this too.
Why don't you move the buffer zone barrel over that right there?
Oh, because
If you don't mind going
Kristen, stop holding around. Come on.
always trying to help in some way or another.
All right, gang.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you
Good
very
morning.
much.
Thank
Hey,
you.
Mark, how you doing?
I'm doing well. I got a minute with you.
Yeah.
And there he goes. JLR out of here. Gone. Crossing the street.
That's it. Just comes in, gets the viral video, runs out. Tried to do it to Aiden in a parking lot, and Aiden cut him down pretty quickly. So, listen, I'm sure that these two may butt heads again. I'm going to try to, if I go down there and I see him at all, I'm going to try to contain myself as well, because I don't want to give him any of that stupid, content that he's looking for his channel. So anyway, I just wanted to bring some attention to that. If you're down there in front of the courthouse, who cares about this guy? Turn your back on him. Don't give him anything. Don't engage him. I think a lot of people, when they see a camera like this up in their face, that is to invoke, obviously, a reaction, and people will speak to that. So he may come up to you with a camera in your face. Don't give him anything. Don't give him anything, because that's exactly what he wants. If you're down there in front of the courthouse, don't give this guy anything. Turn your back on him. Turn your back on him. It's not worth it. All right, moving on here. We had a 2-year anniversary the other day on April 18th. The article that blew the Karen Reed case across the world. Canton cover-up part 1, corrupt state trooper helps Boston cop cover up murder for fellow officer framed innocent girlfriend. And thank God for this article. Thank God that this article was written. And then obviously this was the article that kind of blew the Karen Reed case wide open. And then we had the hearing on May 5th, and the courtroom was packed. People were onto it. People were understanding it. People were getting it. And, again, Aiden's been doing this for a very, very long time and has had that track record and been exposing a lot of people. And, it was just a matter of time by the laws of average that you're going to come across something in your career that's going to get a lot of attention. And damn, did this thing get a lot of attention, and rightfully so. If it wasn't for this man's thoughts and this man's investigation and writing this article and continuing to report on the Karen Reed case, we wouldn't all be here. We wouldn't all be here in support of Aiden Turtleboy Carney and Karen Reed and justice for John O'Keefe. This would be a very different trial. It would be a very different public perception of this trial. Extremely different trial for everybody that's involved. So what I thought I would do, my friends, for the newbies in the back, if you're just coming along and you're just coming into the Karen Reed case, I wanted to play through Turtleboy Framed today. I think it would be nice to go over that and review it for, maybe some new people that are coming in to just finding these channels, just finding this content. Maybe they're curious in the Karen Reed 2.0 trial that'll be happening here on Tuesday. So I thought we could go through Framed. And this is the best breakdown. And it's funny. I want to listen to it because I haven't watched it in a while and see if anything has changed. And I know that Aiden is working on Framed Part 2, and I can't wait for that to hit. But let's sit back. We'll enjoy viewing this movie of Turtleboy Framed Part 1.
I'm Aiden Carney of Turtleboy Daily News. I've been investigating the death of John O'Keefe from Canton, Massachusetts. His girlfriend, Karen Reed, is charged with his murder.
Karen, just to be clear, you didn't do it.
That's the view it would have gotten.
But is there something more going on here? Is Karen Reed the victim of a massive cover-up? During my investigation, I have uncovered a town full of corruption. Here's what I believe happened, and why I believe Karen Reed was framed.
Don't you want to ask some questions? I know you do.
I do. I have. You think that you could outsmart Karen Reed? Did you? How can you wear those buttons when you covered up his murder? Any comment on that? Why you Googled that 227? On the morning of January 29, 2022, Boston police officer John O'Keefe was found dead outside of the Canton home of Boston Police Sergeant Colin Albert on 34 Fairview Road. O'Keefe's girlfriend, Karen Reed, was charged with manslaughter after reportedly backing over O'Keefe with her car after she got into a fight with him and dropped him off at Albert's house after a night of drinking. She was castigated widely as a cop-killing villain, set to face decades in prison. But as it would turn out, at least a dozen people were in the house when John O'Keefe was being violently beaten to death before hatching an elaborate plot to frame Karen Reed for killing him. The cover-up was aided and abetted by members of the state police, the Canton Police Department, and the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office. This is the story of one woman alone, facing down some of the most powerful, well-protected people in the state who sought to destroy her life and exonerate herself.
This is Karen Reed and John O'Keefe. Karen is an intelligent, successful accountant and college professor with not even a hint of a criminal record. She'd been dating John O'Keefe for several years and loved his niece and nephew, who he adopted after both of their parents, including his sister, passed away. She owned a house in Mansfield that was rented out, but lived with O'Keefe and his niece and nephew at his home on One Meadows Ave in Canton. O'Keefe was a well-liked veteran, 16 years on the force of the Boston Police Department. On February 2nd, Reed was charged with killing John O'Keefe, only with manslaughter, though, and she may have actually believed she was responsible. 4 months later, in June, the charges were upgraded to murder, despite no real evidence coming out that added to the story. State Trooper Michael Proctor wrote the criminal complaint for her arrest, noting his 10 years of experience on the State Police Detective Unit at the Norfolk County DA's office. The charging documents state that Canton officers Seraph and Mulaney were dispatched at 6:04 a.m. on January 29th to 34 Fairview Road, where they found 3 females, Karen Reed, Jennifer McCabe, and Kerry Roberts, next to the body of John O'Keefe. Karen Reed was performing CPR. Jennifer McCabe is pictured in this photo on the right, next to her sister Colin Albert, who is the wife of well-connected Boston Police Sergeant Brian Albert. Brian is on the fugitive apprehension team. He's a trained MMA fighter, and he was featured on the cop show Boston's Finest. At 11:30 a.m. on January 29th, Trooper Proctor interviewed Jennifer McCabe and her husband Matthew McCabe, along with Brian Albert and Colin Albert, comfortably at the home of Jennifer McCabe. They told him that they were out at the Waterfall Bar in Canton, where Jennifer McCabe met up with her friend John O'Keefe and his girlfriend Karen Reed, who she did not know very well. The connection between them was that John O'Keefe's niece was good friends with Jennifer McCabe's daughter. Trooper Proctor was allegedly told by Jennifer that she saw Reed enter the bar carrying a vodka soda drink in a glass, which most bars would not allow, and indicated that perhaps she was drunk. The 3 grown adults in their 40s left shortly after midnight to go to an after party at Brian Albert's house. According to Jennifer, she got there first. At 12:30, she says that she witnessed Karen Reed drive up in her black Lexus SUV. Since O'Keefe only knew McCabe at this house, he texted her to make sure that she was there. Jennifer claimed that John O'Keefe never entered the house, so she texted him hello at 12:45 before witnessing Karen drive away in her black SUV. We would later find out that most of that was a lie. She told Proctor that she assumed that he and Reed decided to go home. Jennifer received a phone call from a distraught Karen at 4:53 a.m. looking for O'Keefe. Jennifer, who for some reason was still up at 4:53 a.m. after a night of drinking, told Trooper Proctor that she offered to help Karen look for John O'Keefe along with O'Keefe's friend Kerry Roberts, who was not at the house that night. Karen was hysterical and could not drive in her condition, so Kerry drove both of them. Jennifer claims that during the ride, Karen said, quote, "Could I have hit him? Did I hit him?" She also told the state police that Karen's SUV had a cracked taillight. The 2 of them then jumped in Kerry Roberts' car and they drove back to 34 Fairview Road. When they got there, Karen immediately noticed O'Keefe's body outside, but the other 2 did not. This was part of the reason that Karen was charged. Trooper Proctor believed that Karen knew exactly where the body would be because she knew that she ran him over and left him to die during the middle of the snowstorm. We later recreated this scene at 34 Fairview Road. John O'Keefe was 6'2", 217 pounds. His body was found exactly 12 feet from the curb. There are no obstructions.
A lot of people that don't realize, and I'm going to pause it here, and I just want to give some perspective to this because I've been down to 34 Fairview multiple times. A lot of people don't realize, I'm going to back up here in just a second. Shit, I went a little too far.
I believe that Karen knew exactly where the body would be.
I'll post the video if you want to watch it without my commentary down there in the comment section after this video posts. But I want to get to the front lawn again. I want to show you that.
Because she knew that she ran him over and left him to die during the middle of the snowstorm. We later recreated this scene at 34 Fairview Road. John O'Keefe was 6'2", 217 pounds. His body.
A lot of people don't realize that the way the lawn looks in a video and a photo, it looks huge. It's really not. It's actually a small. It's not as big as it really seems on TV and in pictures. So when you go there, it's actually closer to the road. Everything is a lot closer to the road than you think, which would be more obvious to see if someone was laying on the lawn. It's not like this is a wide spread out yard. So it's just a lot different when you see it in person. You're like, holy shit, it's a lot smaller than I thought. It's funny. I remember going to Fenway Park as a young kid for the very, very first time and watching the green monster on TV and then actually going into the park. And I'm like, oh my God, it seems a lot smaller in here than I really thought it was. And I think things on video and TV tend to seem a lot bigger than they really are. Oh gosh, I might have backed my way into that one. But anyway, let's keep playing through here.
Was found exactly 12 feet from the curb. There are no obstructions blocking anyone from seeing him. It would have been physically impossible for Kerry Roberts and Jennifer McCabe not to have seen his body because they were sitting in the front. They were also specifically looking for a body at that time. And somehow they claim that they did not see him, but Karen Reed did, and this ended up implicating her. O'Keefe's arm had 6 bloodied lacerations, and his eyes were swollen shut in black and blue. His eyelid had a cut on it, and his clothes were covered in blood and vomit. A medical examiner said that he had 2 swollen black eyes, a cut on the left side of his nose, a 2-inch laceration in the back of his head, and multiple skull fractures. There is no possible way that he could have these kinds of injuries from being backed into by his girlfriend's car, especially since the snow and grass would have comforted his fall. Kerry Roberts told Trooper Proctor that Karen Reed was drunk and hysterical when she saw her at 5 a.m. and stated that she was so drunk she didn't even remember going there. Kerry repeated the same story as Jennifer, that Karen made statements suggesting that she may have accidentally hit him or that he had gotten hit by a plow. At 4:30 p.m., Trooper Proctor claimed that he went to the home of Karen Reed's parents in Dighton and claimed to have observed her SUV parked in the driveway with a shattered taillight. We would later find out that this was untrue. Call logs from the Dighton Police Department show that Trooper Proctor actually called for a tow truck at 3:02 p.m. before he had ever allegedly even seen the broken taillight and thus would have no reason to tow the car. We also have footage from Karen Reed's parents' house showing the car being towed at 4:12 p.m. ADA Adam Lally would later blame that on daylight savings, even though Alarm.com automatically resets for daylight savings. This proves that Trooper Proctor was lying about what time he took the car, leaving him alone with the vehicle unaccounted for at least 1 hour and 18 minutes. Proctor interviewed her, and Karen denied bringing a drink into the Waterfall bar. She said that she dropped O'Keefe off at the party at 12:15, but since she didn't know anyone there very well, she was feeling sick, and she was a grown-ass woman in her 40s who doesn't go to after parties and play beer pong, so she elected not to stay. She lived with O'Keefe less than 3 miles away, so getting home wouldn't be a problem for him. Proctor claimed that Karen told him that she never saw O'Keefe go inside the house and had no idea how she had a broken taillight. Both of these statements made her look guilty. When she found O'Keefe's body later, his eyes were swollen and he was still bleeding from the nose and mouth. Karen attempted to call and text John O'Keefe multiple times after dropping him off. He would never knock him home.
You know, it's funny because, you know, going to Rose, she says that cut looks really high up on John's head. You know, the thing that we look at all of this, you know, how there's no lower extremity injuries. We have only, injured arm, the face that looks like it's been punched repeatedly. We know about the skull fractures, this cut on his head. So I just try to line all this up and I'm like, okay, so if he was hit by Karen Reed's vehicle in the front, how the hell did he get a laceration on the top of his head? Well, the Commonwealth's going to try to pull off this bullshit that, oh, well, it's when he went back and he hit his head. And that theory has changed multiple times too. Oh, he hit his head on the curb and he hit his head on the lawn. You know, what is it? What is it? And that laceration is huge. And why would it be, and to Rose's point, so high up on the head where, and I'm trying to show, this is where you would take the impact of that fall if you so went back and hit your head, because the skull is very large here. It's not large here. So, you know, the injury, why is that laceration not here in this part of the skull? It absolutely makes no sense. It absolutely makes no sense. Because that's where you would have hit your head. You would have bumped back. I mean, think about it. How many times you've been sitting like on your bed or something and you've like hit your, you know, you're reading or whatever. I don't know. You're doing something and you hit your head on the wall, or, you know, you're, you know, like when you bump the back of your head, you take the brunt of it here. It's not like on your top of your skull. It doesn't make any sense. Absolutely makes no sense.
Knowing his niece and nephew needed him in the morning. Trooper Proctor asked her leading question designed to incriminate her about whether or not she had ever been in an argument with O'Keefe. And there isn't a couple on earth that hasn't been in a fight before. So Karen felt it was normal to tell Proctor that they had an argument over breakfast. This is why you should never talk to police without a lawyer if you're a suspect in a crime. They are not there to be your friend. They are there to get you to say something that will lead you to being charged criminally. A Canton firefighter, who we later found out was good friends with Colin Albert, the grown daughter of Brian Albert, who was inside 34 Fairview Road the night that John O'Keefe was killed, was one of the first responders to the scene. She told Trooper Proctor that Karen said to her friend, "I hit him," quote unquote, several times, further incriminating herself. Proctor's report also states that 2 red pieces of taillight were next to O'Keefe's body, which was the final piece of evidence needed to charge her with manslaughter. Except in the original report from the Canton Police Department, it never mentions anything about any taillight, and only 2 inches of snow had fallen at that time. As a matter of fact, the only thing that they found were droplets of blood, which they kept in red Solo cups, and some shattered cocktail glass, which apparently Karen Reed hit him with before backing into him with her car.
So that theory has changed because now we know a lot more about the drinking glass on the back of the bumper. It didn't even match the drinking glass that was found at the scene.
And killing him. Sure. But Trooper Proctor never once mentioned that he was a close personal friend with the McCabe and Albert families, which were prominent names in Canton. Here's a picture from Proctor's sister's Facebook page showing Trooper Proctor with Jennifer McCabe's children. ADA Adam Lally would later contend
the child that's depicted in that particular photograph is not one of the McCabe's children.
Oh, really?
McCabe's have 4 daughters. That's not one of them. It's a relative.
Indeed, he does have his arm around his niece. However, there are 2 girls in towels and bathing suits directly behind him who are, in fact, Jennifer McCabe's children. Here's another picture from Proctor's sister's Facebook page showing her at a family party with Chris Albert, the brother of Brian Albert, directly behind her. Chris Albert was at the bar with O'Keefe the night he was killed, and he owns a local pizza shop in town called D&E Pizza. It's unknown if he was inside his brother's house that night because Trooper Proctor has deliberately prevented Google from sharing geofence data that could provide that information. Chris Albert lived at 7 Meadows Ave in Canton, 3 doors away from John O'Keefe, who lived at 1 Meadows Ave. Chris's son, Colin Albert, was an 18-year-old senior at Canton High School at the time of the incident and is confirmed to have been inside the house at 34 Fairview Road that night. Colin was a star football player at Canton High School and a notorious hothead. There are multiple videos that we have posted of Colin in which he's threatening rivals in town and even ends it with bang, bang. Apparently is supposed to scare you into believing that this man will kill you. 2 days after John O'Keefe died, the Canton High School Twitter account announced that Colin would be playing football at Bridgewater State next year. Colin is an out-of-control meathead who frequently was confrontational towards his much older adult neighbor, John O'Keefe. He constantly trespassed on his property, threw beer cans on his lawn. He is the prototypical jock who thinks that Shakespeare was a huge loser and infamously poses for pictures sticking either his middle finger up or his fist in the air while pounding down Dylan Mulvaney lights. Colin,
I've never understood that. The whole what is that? Why do people do that? Why do people pose with their middle finger up? I've never understood. It's just spontaneous reaction. I'm going to take a photo of you, and they go, what is that? Why do people do that? I don't understand that. What is that? Can someone explain it to me? I'll take a photo of you. What? I don't get it. I don't get it. It is the oddest thing that when people do that, they, that stuff. What is that?
has anger issues and gets off on knowing that he comes from a well-connected family in town. His uncle Brian, of course, is a Boston police sergeant. His uncle Kevin is a Canton police officer. His father, Chris, was recently elected to the Board of Selectmen. Here he is on the left, pictured with his father and his uncle Brian on the far right. The man in the middle is his other uncle, Tim Albert, the family moron who takes pride in being from a well-connected family, despite providing nothing of value to contribute to the family's brand name. Trooper Proctor's family knew Colin since he was a a little boy. Here he is pictured with his Michael Proctor's sister once again. Here's another picture of Proctor's sister she posted on Facebook from her 2012 wedding, showing Trooper Proctor on the far left and Colin on the right as a 7-year-old boy. They were both in the wedding party together. Not once did it ever occur to Proctor to mention that he was a close friend to a well-connected Canton family of cops and politicians and was investigating the death of a Boston police officer at one of their homes. He was in possession of all evidence to this crime and decided who would, and more importantly, who would not be investigated.
There is no conflict. Proctor is not conflicted in this case. I indicated that.
Colin Albert likes to get in fights and boast about it. A picture he posted on Visco shortly after the death of John O'Keefe shows his right knuckles covered in abrasions, indicating that he had punched someone or something recently. None of this has been made public, and the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office hasn't sent a mountain of exculpatory evidence to Karen Reed's defense attorneys until recently. This evidence that they've withheld includes DNA evidence from John's body that could prove whether or not a dog had bitten him, for instance, as well as a 2-minute video clip from the Canton Library, which would have shown whether or not Karen Reed's taillight was broken after dropping John O'Keefe off at 34 Fairview Road, because if it wasn't broken, that means that she didn't hit him with her car.
And they still continue to hold discoverable evidence, exculpatory evidence on a daily basis to Karen's team. They still continue to do it. Karen's team still is continuously getting discovery dumps daily. Karen talked about that in the Ted Daniel interview, part 2, inside the SUV. She's like, we still get discovery dumps as of right now. And that was just what, a couple of, maybe a month ago when that was released, a couple weeks ago. Holding evidence.
This evidence proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that she had nothing to do with John O'Keefe's death, but suggests that Colin Albert, Brian Albert's German Shepherd Chloe, Jennifer McCabe, Matt McCabe, and every other person in that house either witnessed or knew about the murder of John O'Keefe and conspired to frame Karen Reed after the fact. Unfortunately for them, Karen Reed is an extremely intelligent and well-resourced woman who can afford world-class representations. She initially had an attorney by the name of David Yannetti, a well-respected Boston lawyer with more than 30 years of experience, who used to be a prosecutor. However, Yannetti can only do so much, and Karen Reed quickly realized after time that she was up against some powerful forces and she would need more representation, particularly when it came to cell phone expertise, which a lot of this case hinges on. So she did some searching and she found a guy by the name of Alan Jackson from Los Angeles who had previously represented a man by the name of Kevin Spacey in Nantucket. Kevin Spacey was accused of sexually assaulting an 18-year-old bartender, but later we found out through the use of forensic technology that the quote-unquote victim and his mother had deleted a number of incriminating messages that showed that the boy was not actually a victim at all.
We heard that before. Who was deleting messages? Who was deleting text messages? Who was deleting calls? Who was deleting searches? Right? Sound familiar, everybody?
Her attorneys filed a motion demanding a forensic audit of Jennifer McCabe and Brian Albert's cell phones and for all communications before and after O'Keefe's death. However, to this day, they have not gotten Albert's cell phone. Jennifer McCabe, on the other hand, voluntarily handed over her phone, thinking that if she deleted enough information, no one would find it. And indeed, that initially worked. State Police Detective Nicholas Guarino claimed to do a full extraction of her phone, and nothing really incriminating came back. But it didn't smell right to Alan Jackson. So they did another search of her phone, and they hired a man by the name of Richard Green, an expert in his field. And Richard Green did a much more thorough and expensive search into Jennifer McCabe's phone. What they did.
Real quick, Genie in a Bottle, thank you for becoming a new YouTube member. Thank you for supporting the channel. I appreciate that. And by the way, I want to just thank everybody. If you didn't get to catch it live the other night, LTL, we hit 40,000 subscribers and then some. The channel's just been really gaining a lot of traction lately. So I want to thank all the new subscribers, the new viewers that have come into the channel just recently and tipped us over the edge. And now we're going for 50,000 and beyond. 50,000 and beyond. All right, let's keep going back.
Discovered in April was
Pain.
shocking. They found that the Norfolk County DA's office intentionally hid evidence showing that Jennifer McCabe had searched, quote, how long to die in cold, except she spelled it H-O-S, Hoss long to die in cold, at 2:27 a.m. on the night that John O'Keefe died. Well, how could she do that if she thought, why would she do that? More importantly, if she believed, as she told Trooper Proctor, that John O'Keefe had gone home and gone to bed, why would he possibly be dying in the cold? Unless, of course, the plan was to put his body in the cold so that he died from hypothermia.
How can you wear those buttons when you covered up his murder? Any comment on that? Why you Googled that at 227? Any comment, Mr. McCabe?
Brian Albert was never questioned at his house, only at the McCabe's house, which was interesting because a dead body was found in his yard. Canton Deputy Police Chief Tom Keller happens to live across the street from Brian Albert on Fairview Road. He has a Ring camera that would have picked up video of O'Keefe's body being hit.
That is, yes. And Aiden's getting into this right now. Where is that video? I mean, literally the Commonwealth could have opened the case with Karen Reed is guilty and hit Officer John O'Keefe. And here's the video, right? They play the video and that's it. Case is over. But the reason the video is gone, the reason that the video is, it didn't record that night, there's problems with the cameras and et cetera, was because it probably caught some nefarious things that were going on at 34 Fairview that night, right? Most likely.
At night.
That's the view it would have gotten.
That's the exact view. Wow. However, he told police that conveniently he did not capture anything of value on his Ring camera. It was never subpoenaed. Jennifer McCabe not only searched for how long to die in cold, she also deleted all communications on her phone between herself, Brian Albert, and her sister, Nicole Albert. If Jennifer McCabe didn't think it was unusual for John O'Keefe to leave, then why did she stay up until 5 a.m. awaiting?
Lieber in Seattle, thank you so much for becoming a new YouTube member. Thanks for supporting the channel. What a great pause right here. And again, I'll post the video down below if you want to watch this without my commentary. All right, let's continue here.
Karen Reed's phone call about John O'Keefe being missing. If Jennifer McCabe had nothing to hide, then why was she destroying critical evidence around the time that John O'Keefe's body was discovered? Why was Jennifer McCabe more committed to protecting Brian Albert than her sister Nicole, who was married to Brian? After O'Keefe got to Albert's home, he began texting McCabe to make sure she was there, since she was the only person he knew well, or at all. When he entered, he was surprised to see 18-year-old Colin Albert was there, who likely confronted him at some point and hit him, according to the theory proposed by Alan Jackson and David Yannetti in their court filings. Our sources believe that Brian Albert joined in on the beating, alarming his loyal German Shepherd, which immediately began to tear into John O'Keefe's arm. Despite being their family dog, Brian Albert got rid of Chloe and never explained where the dog went. The defense team has since filed motions to try to get animal control records about the dog, which for some reason the ADA's office objected to. Unfortunately for him, the defense won their motion and the records were impounded. And as I speak right now, they are still trying to get those unimpounded. A motion has been filed on June 7th for that. Definitely in that house that night were Brian Albert, Nicole Albert, Brian Albert Jr., Colin Albert, Caitlin Albert, Jennifer and Matthew McCabe, friends of Albert Jr. named Julie Nagel, Emily Fabiano, and Sarah Levinson, and an ATF agent named Brian Higgins, who has an office inside the Canton Police Department. O'Keefe would make 12 at a minimum. We have one picture of Higgins with O'Keefe, who was with Brian Albert earlier in the day in New York, and they had driven back after a police officer's funeral there, and they've been very chummy since then. This means that all of these people either witnessed the murder or somehow had no idea that a murder took place in a house they were in, and they've said nothing. Not one of them.
That absolutely makes no sense either. Just by the laws of average, having so many people in and around a situation and that no one saw nothing. That doesn't make any sense. Absolutely makes no sense.
Claims to have seen a 6'2", 217-pound body lying on the front lawn after leaving. One witness named Ryan Nagel went to the home to pick up his sister Julie, who ended up staying there. He was the only witness who had no familial ties to the Albert, and thus no reason to frame Karen Reed. He said that he witnessed Reed outside of the house. They arrived on Fairview Road at basically the same time, coming from different directions. He yielded to her. He allowed her to turn right onto the street. Now, keep in mind, it was snowing and visibility was difficult. So Karen Reed pulled up in front of the driveway, and she claims that John O'Keefe got out and ran into the house. She then pulled up a little further along the left-hand side of the property and said that she was beginning to text him because he was supposed to text her back to let her know everything's all set. You can go home now. Ryan Nagel has all but confirmed that this is exactly what happened because according to his own testimony, he said that he didn't see any damage to her vehicle, never heard any screams, never witnessed her operating the vehicle erratically, and when he drove by her, most importantly, she was alone in the vehicle and her interior lights were on. Her hands were at 10 and 2. Yet John O'Keefe's body was not on the ground, so where could he be if not inside the house? Additionally, O'Keefe's phone tracked him walking up and down the stairs, ascending and descending inside the Albert home from 12:21 to 12:24. Obvious.
And remember during the trial too, Ryan Nagel said, Karen, don't remember? I drove by, I drove by, I looked over, the dome light was on, and there was a female, Karen Reed, inside the vehicle with her hands at 10 and 2, and there was no one inside the passenger seat. So where's John? John didn't wander down the road, didn't wander up the road. He's got to be in the house. And if you're driving by and you're looking over to the right-hand side of the lawn, if John was hit at that time, then wouldn't Ryan Nagel have seen him? So that means he was inside the house. Norman Corey, $10, said, why did Jen call John's phone at 4:59 and 5:04 a.m., a minute before Karen called her to tell her that John had not come home, and no texts or calls before Karen called? Looking for the phone. Looking for the phone. Why all those calls in between, right? Just leads to say you're looking for the phone. Where's John's phone?
Obviously, it would not show this sort of up and down motion if he was inside Karen Reed's car or lying on the ground outside the home. And remember, the cell phone says he's in there between 12:21 and 12:24. Jennifer McCabe said he did not arrive there until 12:30. State police and the DA's office deliberately kept all of this information from the defense, including Jennifer McCabe's incriminating Google search. Jennifer McCabe's cell phone analysis shows that she left the Albert house at 1:47 a.m. with Matthew McCabe, Julie Nagel, and Sarah Levinson. Alan Jackson asserted in his filings that she gave the other two a ride home because they lived near Meadows Ave and she wanted to drive by John O'Keefe's house to see if Karen Reed was up, to understand whether or not they had time to get rid of his body or whether or not she was up wondering where he was. So she dropped them both off at 2:27. Her Apple Watch recorded her going to her bedroom and Googling how long to die in cold, despite previously telling police that she assumed that John O'Keefe had gone home with Karen Reed. Why would she Google that if she thought he was home sleeping? A normal person after a night of drinking would be sleeping at 2:30 a.m. McCabe, instead of going to bed, elected to pace around her house nervously. That's what the Apple Health data shows, waiting for Karen Reed to contact her and ask where O'Keefe was. Somehow she anticipated this happening despite allegedly having no idea that John O'Keefe was missing. McCabe waited up for Reed because, number one, she needed to be with her when Reed discovered the body so that she could control the narrative with the police. And number two, she needed to put the idea in Reed's head that she might have accidentally hit and killed John O'Keefe while driving drunk and had no recollection of it. Reed truly believed that she might have done this and was distraught. His body was staged at the exact place where she was seen dropping him off before leaving. Although it is interesting that they claim that she did a 3-point turn, but only Michael Proctor claims that. He claims that Reed told him that she did a 3-point turn, except that makes no sense. That, of course, would be the only way that she could have backed into John O'Keefe, is if she did a 3-point turn. If she just kept going straight south on Fairview Road, then she couldn't have backed into him. Both Jennifer and Matt McCabe claim that that is the exact direction that she went in, was south, that there was no 3-point turn. Despite
posing too. This is such a pose. Look at this pose. The big yellow buttons, the big fonts, the heart, justice for JJ. It's such a pose. It's so faked. This is one of the biggest posings I've ever seen. Let's put some buttons on. Say we're, justice for John, justice for JJ. Super pose. Scooter 54, $10. Says they are the intimidators, not Turtle Boy. I completely agree. Stephanie, thank you so much for the $10 on Venmo. She says free Karen Reed and happy Easter. Thank you so much. She also said free Turtle Boy. We have Jeannie. Thank you so much for the 10 on Cash App. I appreciate that. Thank you. But this is such a pose. This is a pose. All right,
Barely knowing Karen Reed, Jennifer McCabe gleefully jumped in the car with her and Kerry Roberts. It is believed or asserted by the defense that this intentional delay guaranteed that O'Keefe would be dead by the time anyone found him. Remember, how long to die in cold, and that he would be unable to tell the real story about what happened. It is important to point out that when John O'Keefe was put outside to die, he was still alive. They did this so that the medical examiner could say that one of the causes of his death.
So I get a question here from Fergie. Fergie says, Brian, do you know if we'll see witnesses Tuesday after the opening statements? Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a full court day session. They don't just do opening statements and stop the trial. They just go. They work through the afternoon as much as they can, and the Commonwealth will start calling witnesses. Absolutely. Decline 999 says late start watch. So sorry. Thank you for doing a live today. Happy Easter. Well, thanks for being here. I appreciate it. I appreciate everybody has taken their time this morning to join me here on this Easter Sunday. Easter Sunday. All right, let's keep going. And again, I'll drop this link in the comment section down below if you want to watch Framed without my commentary. Here we go.
Was hypothermia. Remember also that Jennifer McCabe initially told investigators that Karen Reed brought in a drink from another bar to the Waterfall bar, which only a drunken, low-class individual would do. But Karen Reed had a good job and made good money. Why would she do such a thing? Nevertheless, McCabe successfully planted the seed in Reed's brain that she may have accidentally killed O'Keefe. Jennifer McCabe also deleted phone calls to her sister Nicole Albert at 6:07 and 6:08. Those are now gone. They were 7 and 9 seconds long, and someone answered that phone. Now, ADA Lally has since claimed that that's evidence that the calls went to voicemail, except only unanswered calls go to voicemail, and that makes no sense. This proved that McCabe had made them aware that there was a dead body outside of their house. There was not enough time for her to explain, oh my God, there's a dead body out here. I don't know what's going on, but there was plenty of time in 7 to 9 seconds to say, Karen Reed is here, don't come outside. This proved that McCabe made them aware that there was a dead body outside the house. Yet Brian Albert, a veteran Boston police officer and trained first responder, did not even come outside, despite the fact that there were a plethora of emergency vehicles, a lot of people making noises, blue and red lights flashing everywhere, and radios going off, and oh yeah, a screaming hysterical woman on his front lawn named Karen Reed. A broken cocktail glass was found next to O'Keefe's body, which Canton police initially said was the murder weapon. O'Keefe's body was clearly visible as not much snow had accumulated, yet McCabe and Roberts didn't see it. Only Karen Reed did. After notifying the Alberts about the dead cop on their property, Jennifer McCabe Googled, quote, how long does it take to digest food? 10 minutes after finding a body. The presence of food particles in a dead person's stomach helped pathologists determine time of death. At this point, Jen McCabe was panicking because she knew how suspicious the how long to die in cold Google search was at 2:27 a.m. She decided to search for that same thing again after discovering O'Keefe's body, hoping that it would make it look less suspicious. And as this might be something a person might Google after finding a body outside. In doing so, she hoped that it would make the first search disappear. Unfortunately, she spelled the words wrong the first time she searched it, not even close to her original Haas long to die in cold. The second time, she spelled it the exact same way. Haas long to die in cold. not how. This was intentional. She later told law enforcement that it was Karen Reed who told her to Google that. Luckily for McCabe, Brian Albert's brother is a Canton cop. His other brother is a selectman. His neighbor is the deputy chief, and the trooper in charge of the investigation was a close family friend who helped cover up the murder. It was going to be covered up regardless. When you thought that Jennifer McCabe couldn't get any lower, she also has been sharing fundraisers for John O'Keefe despite helping to cover up for his murder. Jennifer McCabe goes to every single court date. She comforts the family of John O'Keefe. She has John O'Keefe's badge number decaled on the back of her car. She has blue lights in front of her house and constantly wears thin blue line stuff everywhere. She is utterly shameless. Obviously, Jennifer McCabe did not kill John O'Keefe since she's not physically capable of that, but Brian Albert, Colin Albert, and the dog were more than capable of that, and Colin Albert had the motive. McCabe was just the quarterback of the cover-up and seemed to want to protect Brian Albert more than even his own wife did. Take from that what you will. Jennifer McCabe would never have been able to cover up this murder without the assistance of law enforcement, despite the fact that it was one of their own, who was killed. According to Reed's defense attorneys, the original Canton Police Department report had been altered. In the altered report, it never stated the CERT team found the taillight at 6 p.m. after Trooper Proctor had taken possession of Reed's vehicle. The altered report also had a different cell phone number that McCabe called after finding the body, indicating that police were taking steps to make sure that Brian Albert was not in any way a suspect. New evidence has also shown that Albert rehomed the dog that attacked O'Keefe. He claims to know where that dog is, yet they won't tell the court where it is. In September of 2022, Reed's lawyers publicly accused the Albert family in open court of being implicated in John O'Keefe's murder, and they ordered them, through the judge, not to delete anything from their phones. 2 weeks later, Tim Albert, the Fredo of the family, posted a meme on Facebook stating, quote, "You don't fuck with my family," and that he won't hesitate to make you miserable if you do. Just a couple days after these filings were made in court, Tim Albert decided that it would be a good time in October to fill in his pool. Nothing shady about that. Tim is the loser of the family who seeks approval by virtue signaling about how loyal he is so that he can enjoy the fruits of the success while contributing nothing himself. This post was clearly a direct attempt to intimidate Karen Reed, her attorneys, and reporters like me who expose people like him for being dirtbags. After being accused in September by Reed's attorneys, Brian Albert immediately decided that it would be a good time to sell his childhood home, which had been in the family for almost 50 years. It sold rather quickly for $50,000 less than they were asking for it, and as a result was never searched by police, despite the fact that a Boston cop was probably murdered inside of it and was found dead on that property. The person most responsible for the cover-up is certainly Trooper Proctor, who failed to speak to key witnesses, protected his close friends, and never applied for geofence data that would show the identities of every person in that house that night. We later found out that he lied about what time that he arrived at Karen Reed's parents' house in order to have the car by himself for 1 hour and 18 minutes. We also found out that in his reports, he intentionally misspelled the names of at least 4 witnesses, including Sarah Levinson, Caitlin Albert, a woman by the name of Emily Fabiano, and Catherine Duty, whose father, Charles Duty, happens to be the town moderator and was the chief of the Canton Police Department at the time that John O'Keefe died. However, Brian Albert didn't mention until April of 2022 in front of a grand jury that his dog was aggressive and not great with strangers.
Scott checking in. Thank you so much for the 10. Says, Brian, appreciate all that you've done with this and Enrique. This is the content I respect and love your commentary and funny voices. Thank you, Scott. I appreciate that. I want to let everybody know, Enrique's case, I have not forgotten about. And it's funny enough, last night, I was actually sitting there thinking that I'm going to be writing another article here pretty soon about his case. It's been 219 days without any answers in his case. And I've put in a lot of thought about his case lately. And I'm going to put my thoughts to pen and pad here pretty soon. Probably going to work on it maybe today if I have some time, and hopefully publish that this afternoon or later this evening. So please look out for an article I'll be writing about Enrique Delgado Garcia. 219 days. 219 days up at the New Braintree State Police Academy, where he lost his life, and we still have no answers. And I am logistically trying to put something together right now and make it happen. If it can't happen, then, you know, I have a plan B that I'll be putting together here pretty soon. So stick with it. I just have a lot going on here in the studio. So I'm anticipating there'll be a lot of changes here in the studio here pretty soon. I have some new furniture coming in. We have a new backdrop that's going to be made and put up. So I'm just been investing a lot of time here at the studio, trying to get it reconfigured in this room and get set for, you know, trial 2.0. So lots of moving parts here at the moment, but projects that I still want to continue to, you know, go on with here. It's just taking some time to get around it. And the logistics of some of them are, you know, it needs to be well thought out and well planned and well put together. And sometimes it's hard when you're the only sole entity doing it and you want it to turn out a certain way. So if not, you know, I have a plan B that will be doing some things to raise awareness around Enrique's case. So listen, I appreciate it. I appreciate the interest and the support. All right, let's finish this up. And then I do want to go to a clip from Court TV the other day and Julie Grant talking about Aiden pleading the fifth. I don't know if y'all know, but Aiden's his accounts on Facebook have been shut down, and he's in the appeal process right now to try to get those back, but he doesn't know if he's going to be able to retrieve them back. And it's just like, you know, we know who's doing it. We know who's doing it. But as he said in that opening video, you know, he will stop at nothing and he will not be shut down. And we need his voice out there. All right, let's keep.
Despite being at an after party, everyone at 34 Fairview Road fled the home within an hour after O'Keefe had arrived. Cool party. Remember, they allegedly had no idea he was dead. So why would they all leave the scene of the crime? They're there to party. Canton police used red Solo cups to store blood evidence at the scene of the crime, but did not discover any pieces of a broken taillight in there for a search. Remember, only 2 inches of snow had fallen by 6 a.m. when the Canton Police Department arrived. 2 hours later, the state police took over the investigation, and 12 hours later is when over a foot of snow had fallen, and boom, Trooper Proctor magically found not only pieces of taillight fragment everywhere, but John's other missing shoe, which was not there at the time of the first search by the Canton Police Department. So then how did Karen Reed break her taillight? Well, Ring surveillance video from Reed's home shows her backing into O'Keefe's car and slightly hitting it on the way to search for him. On the way out, you can see that the taillight is slightly cracked, although certainly not shattered. It is believed that during that hour and 18 minutes, Trooper Proctor had the car unaccounted for. He may have smashed it up a little bit more. So how did they find all these pieces of taillight if the Canton police did not find any? Well, that would be Trooper Proctor, who, as I stated, was able to have the car unaccounted for 1 hour and 18 minutes. Luckily, they found it the second time. They just decided to search the scene of the crime on a hunch. And even more remarkably, Canton Police Chief Ken Berkowitz also decided to go to the scene of the crime on a hunch on February 4th and noticed more pieces of the taillight from his moving vehicle. Berkowitz had been called by ATF agent Brian Higgins, who was in the house when O'Keefe was murdered immediately after the killing. Brian Higgins turned out to be a good friend of Ken Berkowitz and helped organize his retirement party several months later, which Colin Albert also attended along with District Attorney Michael Morrissey. Trooper Proctor also went out of his way to make sure that Google didn't send him all the geofence data that the defense had requested. Karen Reed appears to be a completely innocent woman.
Tried to save his life. I tried to save his life at 6 in the morning. I was covered in his blood. I was the only one trying to save his life.
Wrongly charged by corrupt cops who would see her rot in prison in order to cover up a murder of a fellow police officer. If she didn't have the resources, then none of this would have come out. Trooper Proctor and the district attorney's office went out of their way to make sure that evidence that they knew would exonerate her would never be given to the defense team. As a result of O'Keefe's niece and nephew, whom she loved as her own, now believe that she killed their adopted father. Trooper Proctor, Brian Albert, Colin Albert, Jennifer McCabe, and Brian Higgins all deserve to spend time in jail, and 2 of them them at least should be charged with murder. The Canton police chief and deputy chief should both be fired, but as I said, Ken Berkowitz decided it would be a good time to resign after this. We hope that Karen Reed sues all these people after she's exonerated and that the bad guys go to jail. Every single person in that house should be charged with obstruction of justice as they witnessed a crime and never reported it. They all lied. There is no possible way that they could not have seen a body on the way out. There's no possible way. So either the body was not there, in which case Karen Reed did not strike him, or they are all lying to the police. You pick which one they're doing. Haven't even begun to see the really crazy shit.
He's right. And where we were, 2 years ago and where we are now, it's just crazy, unreal. I was going to take phone calls today, but I cannot. I'm running a little bit later than I thought I was going to. I do have some obligations. So what we're going to do is just end on the Court TV segment. Julie Grant talking about Aiden taking the fifth. We'll take calls when Lauren comes back here on the show. It is Easter Sunday. I have some plans that I have to attend to. So we're going to finish this up here. I appreciate everybody coming over here on this Easter Sunday and kind of hanging out. Super casual show, super laid back, just watching some videos today and just getting our thoughts together here. I'll be back tomorrow night at 8 p.m. I have a special guest that will be joining me. You're going to want to come over and check out that show. If you follow Not Haley on Twitter, on X, Twitter, whatever people are calling it, Jason Broyles will be over here with me on Monday night. I think we're going to try to get another special guest on it with us as well. So I'm working on finalizing that show, and we're going to start that at 8 p.m. tomorrow night on the eve of the trial to talk about Karen Reed 2.0. Let's get into this here, and then we'll finish up. I get a couple announcements at the end of the show that I want to just make people aware of. And here we go. Let's just watch through this. Tipping the scale.
Welcome back. This morning, we're taking a look at how a potential witness in the Karen Reed retrial could tip the scales. We're talking about Turtle Boy, whose real name is Aiden Kearney. He's a self-published blogger and arguably the most outspoken Karen Reed advocate. And we learned in court on Wednesday what he plans to do if he's called as a witness by the Commonwealth.
Julie Grant.
There's really no reason to beat around the bush here, Your Honor. The Commonwealth is not going to call my client, Mr. Kearney, who for the record is in the second row here today.
Can I just ask, if he were to call your client, would he take the fifth?
Yes, Judge.
Mr. Brennan, do you agree that Mr. Kearney has a Fifth Amendment right?
So I'm going to tell you, I love this move by Bev. And the reason that I love this move by Bev, and I talked about this on the show the other day when we went through the hearing. So you had Hank Brennan that stood up and basically said, Bev was asking about, are you going to call him to the stand? Well, he said, well, it's just going to be given the situation. We may call him, we may not call him. Then she has Brennan sit down. Tim Bradle, Turtle Boy's lawyer, gets up, basically argues the point and says, look, he's just going to plead the fifth. I'm going to instruct him to plead the fifth. So then what she does, because she didn't get the direct answer from Brennan the first time around, are you going to call him? You're not going to call him. He said, oh, well, again, he's like, well, we're going to just tailor the situation. We'll have to see how our case, if they talk about the third party culprit, what I believe that what he was going to try to do was, if the point, and again, I've talked about this as well. I'm still wondering, I know some of the third-party culprit stuff will come in, okay? We know who they've announced as their third-party culprit. Higgins, Brian Albert, Colin Albert, right? So my data is computing here in my head. So what I thought that Brennan was going to do is they introduce the third-party culprit. Then they're going to call, this is what he wanted, call Aiden to the stand, get him up in front of up there on TV, try to lay into him and say, look, you manufactured all of these stories so you could hand all this stuff over to Karen Reed so she could turn around and use it in her defense, given this third-party culprit situation. That's what I think that Brennan's intention was in all of this. And obviously, You've been communicating with her. How many times have you talked about this? Have you been feeding her information? Blah, 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 blah. But the move that I like by Bev here was Brennan gets up and says, well, we may call him. So she has him sit down. Brado gets up, says, we're going to have him plead the fifth. She fucking makes Brennan get up again and basically says, what are you doing? Are you calling him or you're not calling him? Like, I'm not going to play this game with the wishy-washiness here. And then essentially says, well, if he's going to plead the fifth, then we're just not going to call him. So that was the answer that she was looking for. And Brendan was trying to beat around the bush. And I thought it was a good play by Bev. I thought it actually was a good play by Bev. All right, here we go.
I think he has a Fifth Amendment privilege. I don't know that he has a Fifth Amendment privilege to all questions we would ask, but the content that we would go into, I think he clearly would have a Fifth Amendment privilege.
All right, so you're not asking for a Lumen Martin hearing?
I'm not. I think I necessarily would have to delve into issues regarding his open indictments against a number of different victims.
Okay.
And I think there's other information that I can't discuss for other reasons because of court orders.
That's a bullshit.
All right, thank you.
That's a bullshit reaction. Oh, there's other things. He's being wishy-washy. And Bev sees right through this shit. And actually, this is a one-up for Bev. She calls him out on shit, and then he basically, oh, well, they're going to plead the fifth. That's what happened here.
I would suggest that the court could take judicial notice of the 16 indictments against him.
So the Commonwealth concedes, and I believe there's a valid Fifth Amendment right.
It's important to note that Turtle Boy is the only witness in the case to take the fifth. None of the innocent witnesses that he is alleged to have intimidated have taken it. Every single one of them has testified, and they will all do so again. So what does that tell you about Turtle Boy? Let's talk about it. I want to bring back in attorney Wendy Murphy and attorney John Phillips. Wendy, starting with you, the turtle's going to hide inside of his shell at the trial. Your thoughts?
That was a good one. Could I refer to him as the turd instead of the turtle? Because I'm trying to be as polite as I can without offending everybody in your audience. And, the words that I'm thinking of using are probably objectionable.
Why do all these people talk like this? Why do they always have this thing? When they go on TV, they always have this voice that they come up with. Why do people talk like that? Like the Kardashians, they're all like nasally when they talk, right? Yeah, I'm gonna go to the beach. Yeah. Why do people make these voices up? Just be who you are. Try to act like all studious.
He is the most repulsive, harmful, destructive.
Yeah, I'm gonna get him, Muggsy. Yeah.
Destructive force in this case by far. Now let's just be clear. I respect that he has a right to assert his Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination. It's an important constitutional right. But what that means to us in the public is we can and should infer that he is hiding evidence that proves he committed crimes. Let's just be clear about that. Innocent people do not invoke the Fifth Amendment. Now, let me be clear. When I say innocent, I mean people with nothing to hide. Because as the judge made reference, and you heard it in that clip, if the prosecutor thought that his invocation of the Fifth Amendment was not in good faith, that he was just doing it as an excuse so he could sit in the courtroom and pretend to be a reporter, they would have had a hearing. The judge could have said, I find that his assertion of this privilege is not in good faith. He must testify. No, everyone in the room said, he's got stuff to hide. He's a criminal. He's got massive exposure here in terms of spending a good amount of time behind bars once he's convicted. So absolutely let him take the fifth, but let's all understand what that means.
Yes.
He's done some very bad things in this case. He needs to take the fifth because if he did testify against himself, that wouldn't be good for his liberty. That's what it all means.
Right. He'd be in even worse trouble than he's already in. You're right, Wendy. And how about the point, I think this can't be underscored enough, that the reason he's got those 16 indictments we heard referenced are because he allegedly intimidated these witnesses, these independent people who didn't ask to be part of this case, just happened to be there that night and can offer something. These innocent people.
She just said innocent people. She literally just said these innocent people. How do you know that? How do you know that? I gotta go back. I can't believe my fucking ears that I just heard that.
Point, I think this can't be underscored enough that the reason he's got those 16 indictments we heard referenced are because he allegedly intimidated these witnesses, these independent people who didn't ask to be part of this case, just happened to be there that night and can offer something. These innocent people.
You got to be fucking kidding me. They didn't ask to be part of this. They were there. They were there. They took part of all of this. I can't believe my fucking ears right now.
They all testified. They all were very open in trial number 1. They're all going to testify again in trial number 2. None of them.
So Karen Reed's guilty, but everybody else is innocent, right? That's how you see this. Okay.
Are taking the fifth, and he's accusing all of them of hiding something. John Phillips,
exactly.
What does that say to you about him?
It says a lot, and he did an interview with the Intelligencer. I'm not familiar with it, but he described himself, and I got to look down, as 3 things. 1, an activist. Okay, he said it, an activist. 2, a journalist, and 3, an entertainer or satirist. Those 3 things are entirely inconsistent. You can't be an investigator and go through a case and have objectivity while also being an entertainer, while also worried about your YouTube hits and your social media, bounce. And that's the problem here, is he's trying to wear all of these hats and one's interfering with the other. And certainly he has a Fifth Amendment right, and with an open indictment, the prosecutors certainly don't want to go into that and reveal some information that shouldn't be revealed yet. But it creates this conflict. And, again, he's a guy that wears, and markets free Karen Reed T-shirts. That's not objective. He gets exposure and he gets money from her free campaign, and yet, won't testify.
I like how everybody, and this guy is this fucking Superman cape up there. I love all this stuff when they go, oh no, a journalist got paid. Oh no, a journalist got paid for reporting on a story. Just like all of them on that panel right now. I don't know if they take appearance fees, but Julie Grant, sure enough, is a journalist, and she gets paid. She gets paid to be on court TV. Vinnie Politan gets paid to be on court TV. Ted Daniels gets paid to do his investigative journalist work. So I always love when all these people come at us. Oh, you're shooting and making a bunch of money and making money. Yeah, but I'm out there doing work. I'm doing research. I'm writing about things. I'm looking into things in these cases. We have every right to be up here on a platform and doing what we're doing. I love this. I love this shit. I love these arguments.
It's gross where we're headed with social media and podcasters, interfering with court.
Oh,
right.
God.
You're so right, John. I have seen so much more disinformation about this.
I'm feeling the level here that they think that they're on this big certain fucking level all over us, right? That they're up there, they're up here because they're on court TV. I better look out. They're on court TV, but we're down here. The damn podcasters and YouTubers and social medias. I love it.
This case, disinformation and misinformation about this case, and I have any other one I have ever covered. This has been the most vile case for so many reasons, and the victim has gotten lost. And I know you both appreciate that so much as you are advocates for victims. And when we think about what this is really about, this trial has turned into a shameful circus. It really has. And when we think about the origination of this circus, who does it go back to? Gee, Mr. Turtle Boy and his friend, Ms. Karen Reed. Now this relationship is being exposed. Your thoughts on how Hank Brennan has now made public what those two kept quiet for so long?
I don't think they really can.
Yeah, really important in this case. And by the way, I know we've been saying the only person who took the fifth was this turd man, but Karen took the fifth too. Let's be honest about it, right? So the two criminals took the fifth. Who's surprised?
Lenny, you need more hair dye in those fucking clown eyebrows. Those gotta go too.
Nobody. But one of the important things in this case that we really didn't see last time, we all thought about it, but we didn't hear it from the prosecutor per se in a way that sounded like it was going to make a big difference. Hank Brennan now is saying part of what's going on in this case is a disinformation campaign bought and paid for by this criminal who thinks that that's a tactic. That, you know, in defense attorney school, one of the things they allow you to do is just pay for PR firms and pay for protesters to show up and pay for bot farms so that social media creates this frenzy and sense that you're actually innocent and it's all a
She literally just said that she's literally saying that we're using bots to get our material out there. You've got to be kidding me. Do you know how suppressed we are on all of these platforms? Look what they just did to Aiden the other day. They shut down 2 of his accounts on Facebook.
Conspiracy. I mean, there are so many mentally ill people who will just buy into that regardless of the evidence. So I think what Hank Brennan's doing is making that part of his case now, saying, not only am I going to prove her guilt beyond a reasonable doubt, I'm going to prove that she was part of a campaign to mislead the public. So that's a very different approach. I was a prosecutor in Massachusetts. I've never had to do that.
Oh no! How dare she stand up and stick up for herself and speak out against what's happening to her in Norfolk County? How dare she? How dare Karen Reed get up and speak out against corruption, right? Yeah, you've only had a fucking $5 million price tag held over your head. You've had to sell your house. You've fucking Commonwealth's literally ruined her life. She can't go back to work. She's getting ready to go into fucking trial 2.0. How dare Karen Reed stand up and shout at the top of her lungs that I am an innocent woman? Oh no. What? Oh my God, I can't believe my fucking ears today.
Before both prove my case and disprove nonsense.
Right.
We're going to hear that in this case.
Wendy, thank you for pointing that out. You're right. He's going to expose it all. He already started, and thank goodness for that, because this is just all about getting to the truth. And Wendy, John, you both, of course, know this. Our courties know. Legally, we know Karen Reed is cloaked in the presumption of innocence. Hank Brennan and the Commonwealth.
I tell you, it fucking hurts Julie Grant to say that. You know, the fucking... The arrows from the quiver just went into her fucking stomach that she had to say that.
Massachusetts have that burden to carry. And the jury can hold it against her if she doesn't testify. Point taken, Wendy, that she's done a lot of talking to interviews of her choosing and not in the trial last time. We'll see if she changes her mind this time. Stand by for that. We'll have to leave it here for now, but great points from you both always. Wendy Murphy, John Phillips, I know you're busy people. We have to let you both go off to court. Hope to see you back here again soon.
That fake Hollywood plastic reaction. Oh, I love it. I love it. You can't make this shit up. And we're going to get plenty of it over the next couple of weeks here. Mazza Media says, will Wendy and Julie be going out for coffee and cheesecake at Starbucks afterwards? Oh, I mean, you can't make this stuff up. You really can't. You really can't make this stuff up. All right, everybody. I was going to take live calls today, but I do have obligations that I need to make here. So I apologize, but I definitely will start taking calls again when we get Lauren back from California. We get settled back here in the studio. I appreciate everybody for coming in on this this Easter edition of the Super Sunday Show here. I'm going to take off. I have a couple of things that I need to do this afternoon. I got dinner at my mom's house later on, and you know, all that Easter stuff that you have to do. I do want to say this because, and it's not because he's in the chat, and I'm going to show you right now. I'm going to show you my notes. And what does it say there? It says number 4, Mazza Media. And I just got to say, we need Mazza Media back in this movement. I know you've been on a little bit of a hiatus. But we would love to hear you come back. And I hope that you get your shows up and running again soon. It's literally on my notes. Look at all my notes. These are all the notes that I make. Look at it. Try to make and be prepared for all of this. But Mazza Media, you need to come back. We definitely need you in some capacity here. I don't care. Just go back to not showing your face if you have to do that. But we got to get you out here. Do some spaces on X. I don't know. We need to get your voice back here in this movement and keep the train rolling here. I just want to do this before we head out. I want to just let everybody know I made a $100 donation during the show. You can see it up there. I'm going to drop Karen Reed's Defense Fund. If you can, please drop some money in the bucket today. Please do. There's the fundraiser link. And I also want to bring some attention to a Free Karen Reed supporter that is in some time of need right now as she's battling cancer. And her name is Nanette. And oh, did I share the wrong screen again? Let me just bring this up again really quick. And she has a meal train set up, and we've done some fundraising for her here on this channel. She's getting ready in a couple of days to go have some surgery done on some cancer, and it's a very rare form of cancer that she's dealing with. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to drop her link in there. If you know, Yannette is someone that has been in and around the hearings, the trial, and her family is in herself is in a huge time of need right now. So whatever you decide to donate to today, much will be appreciated. And what they're doing is just this meal train. And we've done some fundraising for her, and we'll continue to talk about her cause here on the channel because she has, you know, she needs to be out there and needs to be out with all of us standing side by side, hand in hand. And if you can make a donation today, please click that link and make that happen on whatever you choose to donate to. If you do donate to the Karen Reed Defense Fund today, just put in your comments LTL and just let them know that I sent you over there. So I would have taken calls today. I ran a little bit later than I wanted to, but I'm going to head out here as I do have some obligations for Easter Sunday to take care of. I appreciate everybody for coming over here today and hanging out here on this live show. And I will be back tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, trying to line up a few guests for that. I got one lockdown. If you follow Jason on X, his handle, call it handle or usernames. I always say handle. Username is not Haley. You can check him out over there on X. And I'm going to try to line up a few more guests here. Maybe ask my friend Todd McGee if he can come over and hang out with us. And it would be the eve of the trial. It would be the eve of the trial of opening statements on Tuesday morning. So thank you all so much for being here. I'm going to head out. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe and comment after this video is posted. I appreciate all of you. And be well. Happy Easter to everybody. Happy Passover. And we'll talk soon. Have a good day, everybody. Bye.